Welcome to Triple Option Sports Podcast, brought to you by Wild Roots Vodka, Oregon's infused vodka company. So, without further ado, here are your hosts, Matt, John, and Jesse.
All right, welcome back to a new episode. This week, it's going to be amazing. We're going to go over winners and losers in NFL free agency. We have, what the heck is Manziel showing up at Pro Days? I can't wait to talk about that. And then the great debate. That's what I'm calling it. Shaq versus Wilt Chamberlain with a special guest. So you guys are in for a good treat this week. But, without further ado, my Capri Sun drinker on to my left, Mr. John Radford. How you doing, Radford?
I'm good, man. I'm feeling good, feeling great. Got my mountain cooler, Capri Sun.
Whoa. This man is on your right, and I am on your left. You can clearly see that because we're visually next to each other, Matt.
I know. I put the wrong pictures on the left and right of the screen, so it confuses me every week.
Okay.
So, but as you heard his voice, Naylor is here on my left as well. So welcome to the podcast, sir.
Sorry, I just had to get my rebuttal voice ready because I've got a debate coming up, and I'm very serious, and I have to make sure that when I interrupt, I do so properly. So sorry about that, Radford, but you were kind of like a test on me.
You good. You stole my little shine on my intro, but it's okay.
Sorry, man.
He cut right in.
Look, I'm ready for this argument or debate, as we're going to call it. Yes. Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest center of all time. Gosh,
no, he's not. No, he's not. But you better get ready.
Well,
I will.
It's going to be a good debate. I can feel it. I can feel it coming. What is going on? So let's talk about NFL. We got to start there. A lot of crazy stuff. But so the Giants are trying to shop Odell for 2 first-round picks. Like, that's insane to me.
I think I'd move for 2 first-round picks, but I don't know.
They're not going to get 2 first-round picks.
Ain't no team that's give up 2 first-round picks. I hope the Lions would never do nothing like that. But he's definitely worth
a quarterback to throw to him. So
stop. Matt Stafford's top 10. Different discussion. But he's worth 1 first-round pick because when they initially threw that out there, they was just looking for 1 first-round pick. That's how the Rams got hot and things like that. I would definitely give up my first-round pick for Odell Beckham because he's proven what the man can do. But 2 first rounds, I can't go. I can't do it at all. No. And I think he's in his contract. He's in his contract year also, so you're gonna have to pay him. If you make that deal, you better have the money to pay him because then it was just a dumb ass trade. You know what I mean? You gave up 2 first rounds and you don't even retain his services after this year. But if it's 1 pick, 1 first rounder, I'm doing it.
I don't know. I feel like it's a scare tactic because Odell's been in the news lately. Some racy videos coming out. Like, I think the Giants are just using it to be like, dude, you're not like you're expendable just like any other player. So I don't know. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, look. First of all, it's not going to be for 1 first-round pick. Reports came out and said that the Rams have already offered a first-round pick, and they did not accept that. And then they started to say, well, we want 2 first-round picks, which is absolutely absurd. I don't know. It sounds like there isn't really anybody for that price that's willing to trade for Odell. And the Rams, who seem to be the most interested, I just can't see them giving up more than a first-round pick. Like, I think we talked about it yesterday and saying that if they gave up, let's say, their first and their third, that would mean they don't have a draft pick until the 4th round. Then they have Aaron Donald, Peters, Odell Beckham, and Gurley all basically wanting to get paid in the same offseason. And then the next offseason, you have to worry about Goff. I don't know how you feel the team. So I, as a 49er fan, I say Rams, go all in, mortgage your future, try to get a ring this year, and then blow it all up because it's not going to go well if you want to get rid of your whole future for 1 title run, and you better hope you win this year. So that's what I say, but I don't know. Odell's just not worth it to me. He's too much of a headache for all that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Man's a ball player.
He is.
I don't know.
Wait, yeah. What would you be okay with your Lions giving up to get him?
I'd say I don't think we need to get it. Receiver's not a need for the Detroit Lions, so I don't really think we even need to be in the mix just because that's not a need. So, no, I'm not for the Lions giving up their first-round pick for Odell. I mean, we had our chance when we took damn Eric Ebron to get Odell Beckham, but that's a different day. So no, I'm not cool with the Lions giving up their first.
So
Not for Odell,
here's what I'll
because
say.
we have a receiving core.
Yeah, that's true. Here's what I'll say. I've been in Packers forums. I've been in Browns forums. I've been in Jags forums. Obviously, Niners forums. I've been in Rams forums. And there is not a single team, just going through the majority, there's not a single fan base that wants their team to even give up a first-round pick for this man. So,
yeah,
yes, you're a great talent, but for what you're going to want to get paid, for what you bring to the table, nobody really wants you, man. So you better suck it up and figure out how to make it work with the Giants, because you might be, I don't know. There's a lot of talent that's left the NFL for a lot less. So, you want to get paid like a quarterback.
You know who else people don't want? Johnny Manziel.
Oh, God.
Just want to tie those two together like that.
Why you on Johnny Manziel's head? I respect what he's doing. I respect what he's doing. He's showing up at pro days. Like, he's trying to get looks. He's trying to get back in the game. Like, I respect him. He want to get a job. He don't really need the money, but he wants to play football again. And Johnny Manziel was good at A&M. He didn't do too well in Cleveland.
Well, he just should re-enroll. Like, re-enroll back into college. Like, show up there and play for them, because he is not an NFL quarterback.
I believe he is. I believe he needs to sit behind somebody for a year or two, take in the game a little bit, get back in the flow of the game, and he'll be okay. Johnny's not bad. He's not a bad quarterback. He had flashes.
You're losing credibility the more you speak.
Johnny Manziel.
I just want
other people will say the same thing. Johnny Manziel ain't terrible.
He's terrible. He's terrible.
He about as good as Blake Bortles. The hell, like,
no.
Blake Bortles ain't nothing special, bro.
Horrible. Horrible.
Nothing special.
I don't know. It's been 821 days since he's played in the NFL. And he's popping up at San Diego's pro day, and then he popped up at another pro day recently. I'm just like, what are you doing?
And he looked good at everybody's pro day.
Well, compared to the students throwing with him, maybe, but not
the
when
students.
Yeah, you like that? Like, he's competing against like sophomores that are like practicing for their college team.
Oh, no disrespect. I'm not saying Johnny Manziel is elite by no means, but he's cool. Like, he can be a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Who deserves the job more, Johnny Manziel or Colin Kaepernick?
Here it is.
Kaepernick.
Okay.
Hands down.
There's no reason he should not be in the NFL.
Who's gonna get a job, Johnny Manziel or Colin Kaepernick?
Manziel.
I agree.
Yeah.
They blackballing Kaepernick.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Just like they're doing it to with your boy from San Fran, Eric Reed. Because he still ain't got signed, right? He still ain't been picked up.
Nope.
Doing them dirty.
It's bad.
It's too bad. It really is. Yeah, I don't know. I think Radford, you and I were talking a little bit earlier, and we were talking about Patriots. I mean, if
good fit,
Johnny Manziel, and it sounds like they did talk to him before and after the Texas A&M Pro Day, and look, Johnny Manziel is willing to go onto a practice squad, and you're not going to get the quarterback that you're looking for to replace Tom Brady this year. You might as well kick the tires on Johnny Manziel. He's still only 25 years old. Sounds like he's changed his life and turned things around. We'll see if that's really true, but look, you throw him in that system and let him sit behind Tom Brady for a few years. You never know. It's worth a shot. You're not going to have to pay him a lot. You're definitely not going to risk a lot. I'd do it.
True. I would too. Take a shot on him.
I would not take a shot. Let him. He's already got a contract with the CFL. Let him go do that.
So Matt, you really saying you wouldn't have Johnny Manziel on a 2-year, $2 million contract as your backup quarterback?
I put him on practice squad, and that's the closest he'd get to the field.
Dang.
Like, I just think he's washed up, barely talented, and not talented NFL, college quarterback. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
I got a lot of angst is the word, I guess, towards Manziel. I just people who like go in the NFL, who people dream every day of getting in the NFL, and you actually get in, and then you do what he did. No. Like, I'd rather forgive Mike Vick for killing dogs first than let Manziel back in. So
All right.
I'm just saying. It's kind of harsh, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you escalated, but okay.
I mean, it went there. It's fine. It's debate night. I'm feeling it. It's good.
Let's say that.
I don't know. He's going to play in the spring league, I guess. That's like his last chance to get picked up. So
he'll up in XFL. He's going to play XFL.
Oh yeah,
the face of it.
Yeah, he'll be the face of the XFL in 2 years.
He already said he's got a contract for CFL. He's just waiting to see if he can get in the NFL. So I don't know. It's all good. I just had to throw that in there.
What do you guys think about these rule changes? The helmet one, no targeting with your helmet, and then the catch rule. Bradford, I'll ask you first since you played. What do you think?
The helmet rule is terrible. I
Why?
just don't get how are you supposed to make a tackle now if you can't? When you're in that moment of hitting somebody, you don't think about, man, should I leave my helmet up or drop it? Like, you about to do whatever you got to do to get that man on the ground. So not being able to make contact in the helmet, like, how you supposed to hit a man in the hole? Like, so if you have to meet in that A gap, you just supposed to chop his legs out? And that's what you're going to see a lot of knee injuries happen. That's what you're about to see. More ACLs being tore up, kneecaps, all that. If you can't
I agree.
hit in the helmet, you're just going to target them low. And they just keep softening the game up. I get concussions is popping up, and then what happened to Shazier and all that, but it's football. We signed up for it. They signed up for it. They get paid lots of money for that. So let them in hit each other. You saying they can't target in the helmet, like you just you're making defenders think too much. Like I feel like
the helmet rule. The helmet rule is the new what is a catch rule. Like that's what it's going to be.
Yep.
Like we now have a revised standard of a catch, and now next 3 seasons will be. Well, did he really use his head? Did he really lower it? Like that's going to be the new conversation
it's
in the
terrible.
NFL.
It is terrible.
Then they're talking about throwing guys out like they do in college. Man, ugh, not a fan of that.
It's terrible. Like making the game soft.
I concur. What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I am completely on board. But they did revise the catch rule, and I'm very happy about that. So
I knew Des Bryant caught that ball.
I knew Calvin Johnson caught that ball.
Yeah, Calvin definitely caught it.
That's true.
Gosh.
Yeah. And Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it sounds like so I'll just kind of briefly go over the rule, but it sounds also like they implemented these rules during the playoffs, the NFL playoffs, and without really telling anybody. Chris Mortensen and someone else came out and basically confirmed that they didn't want a debacle like they had in years past in the playoffs. They didn't want to take points off the board. And so the actual catch rule was implemented for the playoffs to see how it went. And it makes a lot of sense because I remember talking to you, Radford, during the Super Bowl about some of those catches that Philly made. And I said, look, I agree. Those are absolutely catches. I forget who it was in the back of the end zone, but there was the one catch. And I said, hey, I agree that is a catch, but according to the rule, it 100% is not a catch. And then to my surprise, they ruled it a catch, actually overturning it because I believe on the field they didn't call it a catch, and it all actually makes sense if they were running with the new rule. So I'm glad that I got that cleared up. But sounds like there's 3 parts to it. You have to control the ball. You have to have 2 feet down or another body part. And then the third part is you need to make a football move, such as a third step, reaching or extending for the line to gain, or the ability to perform such an act. So, to me, a lot clearer rule.
For sure. It is.
Yeah.
I like it.
That
It's going to
catch
be a
was
lot more fumbles, though. Tell you that.
Yeah.
Get ready
the
for
catch
that to
wasn't
happen.
a tight end for the Eagles, wasn't it?
I don't remember who it was. It was.
I can't remember.
I'd have to look at it. It was in the. It was the one in the back of the end zone.
I was the one when he jumped. He jumped and hit the line, and it bounced out or bounced like forward, and they still caught it or counted as a catch or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not. I'd have to look at it again, but I do remember as the Super Bowl was happening, I was telling Radford, like, look, that's not a catch according to the rule. There's no way that they're going to overturn this, and they did. So,
no, it makes sense. What do you guys think about free agency? There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, who do you feel made some big moves, and who do you feel got worse?
just all around offseason moves, obviously the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
That offense got explosive. That's an easy one. I like the moves they made there. They need to draft Barkley, and then I just feel like they kind of complete offensively because now you got your slot, your big wide out, you got a fast tight end, solid quarterback that's mobile, and now you got your running back. So I think Cleveland made a lot of good moves. The Rams made a lot of good moves. 2 nice corners, 2 good D tackles. They're very soft at linebacker though. But if they can get a good draft and get some LBs, I think they'll be solid. Loser. Has the Indianapolis Colts signed anybody besides Eric Ebron?
Nope.
No, that's a serious question.
That's it.
They've signed a couple people, but nobody to write home about. I mean, guys that basically fill out a roster, not guys that are impact players.
Like going into the offseason, they have cap room. They was already the worst team on paper, and I just feel like splurge.
Oh, Ryan Grant. They signed Ryan Grant. Big news there.
Who?
Exactly. I thought he was a running back for the freaking Packers.
Who is Ryan Grant? I don't know who the hell he is.
Nobody knows who that is.
I really don't. Isn't it? I really don't know who that is. It's the Packers running back, right? From back in the day? Did he come back?
No, he was a Redskins
receiver. The one that we just talked about last week that Baltimore overpaid and then got lucky that he quote unquote didn't pass the physical.
So
buyer's remorse is what they meant.
Yeah. Ebron and Grant. That's all they got.
No, so that's my biggest loser because I haven't seen them make any moves. The Vikings got better, adding your boys Kirk Cousins. And added I think that's Sheldon Richardson too.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like the Seahawks are bottom 10 in free agency.
Oh, easy.
I mean, they're my team, but they're they're not signing anybody.
But they have a clear path to what they want to do. So I was actually happy for them that they didn't get Sue because that tells me that they are 100% rebuilding, which is exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they signed Jared Brown. So the only good thing about that is it'll be less confusing when we watch the Cardinals this season. One less Brown to figure out who caught the ball.
Oh, they got the big body one. They didn't get speedster.
Yeah,
they got Javon Brown.
Yeah,
he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. But yeah, I mean, I can't. There's nothing the Seahawks have done, and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's good. No, like I don't care about no Ed Dixon as my tight end on a 3-year deal. Really?
He's okay.
I'm a little angry. Hey, but I mean, the Browns traded Cody Kessler because that's news. So just want to point that out.
Wow.
Nobody cares because they had to sign what's his face today, Drew Stanton, I think it was.
I'm not very happy with the Lions move either. We've signed a lot of linebackers, a lot of people from the Patriots. We didn't make any big splash moves. I like the LeGarrette Blount signing, but I don't feel like we're not top 10 in free agents moves either. Off-season moves, I believe. Only good move was getting rid of Ebron to save some cap room. We got your tight end Luke Wilson from the Seahawks.
Yeah, he's actually pretty decent. You'll like that because they'll use him more. So
that's the question.
He doesn't have center blocks for hands, so you'll be okay.
Perfect. So I'll probably like the cat.
You got Shed also, so you got 2 Seahawks players or ex-Seahawks players.
Shed actually had a solid season, not this past season, but the season before. He had like 80-something tackles. He's a tackling corner, which we made some mid-tier moves. I'm not mad at him, but it ain't nothing, write home about. I just like the LeGarrette Blount signing. I think that's going to be huge for us on first and second downs and goal lines.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Buffalo Bills don't have a quarterback on the roster.
Don't they have?
They have Peterman. Sorry, they have Peterman. They have one quarterback. So,
like
on
you
the
said,
roster.
they don't have a quarterback on the roster.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback on the roster. Like,
where did Teddy Bridgewater go?
Jets. He's on the Jets.
Oh, he went to the Jets. Okay.
Yeah, Jets have McCown and Bridgewater, and then they're going to sign Josh Rosen. I bet in the draft. Watch.
Jets have 14 quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's great. And we would have had
a 52-man roster of quarterbacks.
We would have had Sue, but the brass didn't agree with the GM on the offer and made him pull the offer. So
Yep.
I don't
is crap.
feel that the Packers got much better either. I mean, they get AR-12 back, which is huge, but far as they lose Jordy, who I think is a top 10 receiver in the NFL. They add Graham, who's not separating from anybody anymore. He's a good red zone target, don't get me wrong. But he's not Jimmy Graham of New Orleans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I can't name a secondary player besides was it Clinton Dix? That's about it. Got a solid linebacker. Clay Matthews ain't the pass rusher he used to be. Like, getting AR-12 back is huge, but I just don't really see them. I don't think the Packers are going to be that good to this year. I'm a diehard Lions fan. You know, I'm always going to say that, but I honestly think it's the Vikings, Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago still terrible, even though they amped up their receiving core a little bit. I still don't think they're that good because they have Trubisky at the helm, and he didn't show me much last year. He could take that second-year leap.
They tried to get Kyle Fuller, but Chicago matched the deal.
Yeah, they did.
So they tried, but did not work out.
You know, the team that baffles me the most, actually, out of everybody, now that I'm thinking about it? The Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, they've cut everybody.
So they've cut everybody, which, hey, look, if you want to move on, you kind of want to restart, get rid of some of those flamboyant bad seeds is what they're saying with Sue and Landry. I get it. You know, Pouncey's gone. That one didn't make a lot of sense, but you cut basically all your best players, and then you would think, okay, well, they're doing what the Seahawks are doing. They're letting these older guys walk, and they're going to rebuild. And then they go out and they sign a few middle-tier free agents and pay way too much for them to replace these guys. So I'm like, well, so you think you're going to compete with this roster? I don't know what they're doing, and their roster is atrocious right now.
Yeah, I mean, it helps the Jets, which I like, but it's rough. It's really rough.
But I would say,
I forgot.
Yeah,
hold on, I forgot. This just in: the Bills have AJ McCarron. I forgot about that guy.
Perfect.
My bad, Bills fans. That's a big deal. So, but go ahead. Dolphins suck. I'm on that bandwagon. So
I was gonna say that honestly, to me, the biggest winners would have to be the players, and the reason that I say that is because you've got a guy like Richard Sherman negotiating his own contract without an agent, and you can say it's a bad player contract all you want, but he showed as someone who's a player union rep that you can negotiate your own contract and you don't have to pay out the wazoo for an agent to do it for you. And Kirk Cousins getting the fully guaranteed deal. Those two moves right there make the players next year and moving forward really the winners overall, because it sounds like they're grabbing the league by the balls a little bit and saying, look, this is our league, and without us, you don't put butts in the seat and you guys don't make money. So let us kind of run things how we feel like we should run them, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Frank Gore with the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, point proven.
That'll do a lot.
Of nothing.
No, nothing, yeah.
Right.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, so that'll be good. But we're gonna go into the great debate. Are you ready for this, Jesse?
Ooh, hold on, let me get a drink of water. Get the boxing gloves on. Ready to enter this ring here.
Oh, Lord, you got your mouthpiece. Put your mouthpiece in, man. I don't want you to get hurt.
All right, yeah. All right.
Let's get Kelly on the line.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so we were talking earlier in the podcast, and we do have a special guest tonight, and it's going to get real lively because the debate's been happening all week. You saw it on Facebook. Who is the greatest center in the NBA of all time? So we brought a Facebook fan to our podcast to debate this, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. But I do want to introduce Kelly Robinson, also known as Fat Kelly Fried Chicken, FKFC. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm all right. How are you?
Lovely. I have to ask though, and I was talking to Jesse about this earlier and Radford, but before we start this great debate, we have to talk about a bigger debate between me and you, because I'm still trying to figure out if I thought Kelly was a girl's name.
Okay. You know what? I'm not even mad at you. Stupid people make stupid decisions their whole lives, and if you decide that you want to think that it's a girl's name, I'm good with that.
My wife has the same name as you. It's confusing.
Your wife also doesn't like you, so.
Dang. Coming with the fire. I like this guy. We might make him permanent.
I know. Yeah. He's calling in from a phone booth, but it's good. It's good. He found the one phone booth in his town. That's great.
Not everybody can afford cell phones. Gosh.
It's a tough life. So what's this debate? So it's like, what side are you on, Kelly? Are you on the Shaq side or the Wilt side or a different player altogether? Like what's your thoughts?
Is this really a conversation that I really woke up this morning thinking is this really a conversation that we even need to have? We're talking about the greatest center of all time. Not only is he the greatest center of all time, he's the second greatest player of all time with Shaquille O'Neal.
Wow.
It's not even close.
Wow.
I'd agree second. I can't agree second best player of all time. He's the greatest center of all time. I'd agree with that. He is the greatest center. Most dominant also.
Kelly, before we get too far into it, I'm very curious. I got to know who are your top 5 NBA players of all time. Give me those guys in order because I want to know where we stand before we get too far into this.
So the way I do this is I break it down by the number 1, number 2, and it really doesn't matter after that. It's number 1, number 2, and the rest doesn't matter. The greatest basketball player to ever touch a basketball, to do anything with a basketball, is LeBron James.
Okay. We can agree there.
Shaq.
Agreed.
You have Shaq.
I can't go second.
How do you argue against the guy who literally walked into the league and was the second best player in the league at the time? He walked in as the second best player in the league. It was after Jordan left, Shaq was the best player. Jordan came back at that time and everybody gave him the title, but Shaq was still killing everybody. It was Shaq's team who dethroned Michael Jordan in the playoffs. It wasn't any of those other teams. Shaq's team in '94 dethroned Michael Jordan and the Bulls. And I'm a Bulls fan. So that should tell you something right there. A young Shaq's team dethroned Michael Jordan and the Bulls in the playoffs. Second round in '95 playoffs.
Now, you're a Chicago guy, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Chicago sports teams through and through. Mm-hmm. Cubbies, Bulls, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. That's big. I'm surprised you don't say Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan second.
You want to say Jordan because that was our childhood hero. Everybody wants to say Jordan. It's a childhood hero. Nobody wants their heroes to be second best to anybody who's playing that.
Jordan is, I have to chime in. I can't shut up here. So Jordan is the best of all time. I don't care if he's childhood hero. He's the best of all time. There's nobody else.
That's LeBron. That's LeBron James.
The only reason why you say that, Matt, is because you don't follow basketball to that extent of what we follow basketball.
I mean, I own a calculator, so I can calculate pretty well. Everything Jordan did above and beyond Shaq, Kobe, LeBron.
Okay. Perfect question. What did he do better than LeBron James in basketball? Was he a better passer than
I can
LeBron
just count
James?
The rings, buddy. That's an easy calculation.
Okay, so if we're going by that, then
you can't go off rings.
You start there. That's the argument. That's
okay.
So you're saying Bill Russell's probably better than LeBron too?
Yeah, he has 11 rings. So who's number 2 to them then?
Robert Horry got 10
It's got to be Charles.
So we're going to say
Charles Barkley's pretty good too.
Are we going to say Robert Horry?
Robert Horry.
You always throw out Robert Horry every time.
Well, I mean, he got 10 rings, so I mean, and he's not even a top 25 player of all time, so you can't really judge it off of rings.
If you want to go there, we can just talk about Jimmy Garoppolo against Matt Stafford. We'll get you all ranked up at how many rings he's got.
All right. So before this gets too far, let's let Kelly have his moment here. So, Kelly, it sounds like you're going to preface your argument just based off of what I heard between you talking with Jordan and LeBron. Mm-hmm. You're not a big stats guy. You're not necessarily. Yeah. Okay. So you're a stats guy. You're not necessarily, hey, you got to have a lot of rings, which is cool. I'm on board with you. I love LeBron James. I also think he's the greatest player of all time. I agree. Jordan is not the second best player of all time. That's where I have Wilt Chamberlain. And this is where you and I have a little bit of a debate here. But it sounds like skill for skill, that's why you would put LeBron above Jordan. So you tell me, I'm going to put the onus back on you. What did Shaq do better than Wilt as far as skill for skill goes?
So skill for skill, this is what I'll get you. Shaq played against more players who are around the same height as him. And we'll just go with that right there.
That's a lie, but go ahead.
I'm actually reading the stats right now. So what was Wilt's best year would be 1961-62 when he averaged 50 points a game. He played against, let me think, there was 2 other guys in the league that were 7 feet tall.
Okay.
And those 2 players were Walter Dukes. Was he a Hall of Famer? No. We have I can't even say his first name, but his last name is Hallbrook, and he was 7'3". Is he a Hall of Famer? No. He probably couldn't play in our men's league. I'm just being honest. He's just 7 feet tall. He couldn't play in our men's league. The free throw line back then for Wilt Chamberlain, who was so great, was 6 feet wide, meaning you're 7 feet tall. If you go for an offensive rebound and there's no other 7-footers, let's just count the people 6 foot tall. There was very few people over 6'7" back then in the NBA. He was the tallest person on the court. All you had to do was go grab the ball and put the ball back up. There was also a rule in place where your ball didn't have to hit when you were shooting a free throw, the ball didn't have to hit the rim. So what he would do is, and this is how he accumulated so many rebounds, throw the ball as hard as you possibly can off the backboard, come back to me, put up 2 more points. Because he was a terrible free throw shooter on top of that as well. What other things do we have about Wilt Chamberlain? Oh, that 100-point game that supposedly happened. Video cameras have been around since the 1920s. They have pictures of Jesse Owens running the Olympics. Wilt Chamberlain's the biggest thing in basketball at this time. Him and Bill Russell are the 2 biggest things in basketball. Wilt Chamberlain doesn't have video of a game of him scoring 100 points. There wasn't one person there for the best basketball player in the league at this time. There wasn't one recording device in that whole building. It just seems kind of sketchy to me. We had a man on the moon, but we didn't have a video camera in this guy's gym when he's playing basketball and he's scoring a lot of points.
I debate the man on the moon thing. If I'm being real, I debate the man on the moon thing. I won't go there, but I'm
with you on that.
But go ahead.
I'm with you on that. I don't think we've been on the moon either, but I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying the facts are that Wilt Chamberlain didn't have to play against the talent that Shaq did. And if he did have to play against the talent, he wouldn't have been able to dominate the same way Shaq did.
Okay.
Now I'll let you take the floor and we can have some conversation now.
All right. Sounds good. So you may have taken one season. Congratulations. That one season, there was 2 other 7-footers. If I look at, and I just took his whole career, and then I took 1983 through 2003, the centers that played. From 1983 to 2003, all players' heights across the board only went up 1 inch from the time that Wilt Chamberlain played throughout his career.
You're false on that one. Sorry to tell you
that.
That's
actually not false. But the other thing is back then when they measured players barefoot. Today, and 1983 going forward, they measured them with shoes on. So really the 1 inch probably is due to shoes, not necessarily due to actual height, but I digress. So I'll give you the 1 inch throughout the time of his career. What I will say is a lot of people don't realize that Wilt Chamberlain, if I'm just going skill for skill, we have a man in Tim Duncan who is probably the greatest power forward of all time. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Okay. And how did he make his career? What was his patent shot, Kelly?
He was a big fundamental guy, so it was probably off the back. He shot a lot of bank shot jumpers. He had a great mid-range game.
He did. Okay. Do you know who the original co-founder of the mid-range fadeaway bank shot was?
It definitely wasn't Wilt Chamberlain.
It was 100% Wilt Chamberlain. If you look at his career, actually, most of his shots were bank shot fadeaways. They were not dunking over 6'2" guys, because back then there were 2 rules in place. If you would like to talk about rules, which I appreciate that you brought those up. There were 2 rules in place. One, you could pack that 6-foot key that you spoke about with as many players as you wanted to stop somebody from scoring. And the other rule is if at any time as an offensive player you lowered your shoulder, which Shaq made a killing in his career, lowering his shoulder to get points, you were immediately called for an offensive foul. And there are plenty of videos. Yes, there were videotapes back then. Plenty of videos where you can watch any of those big guys in those NBA games. The moment that they literally just dip their shoulder, they wouldn't even make contact. If they dip their shoulder, ball was going the other way. So for a big man, it was a lot more than just bully ball, which I would argue Shaq played a lot of bully ball. Not against him. Shaq is a great center. I have him in my top 5 of all time. That is not a knock. But Wilt was not just playing bully ball against a bunch of 6'2" gentlemen. He was actually playing with a lot of finesse and a lot of skill. So that is my argument as to why I think there is a lot of things, and a lot of people do believe the way that you believe, but they also don't actually know the facts. And so I just had to make sure that we set that straight.
I'm glad you thought those facts were very, entertaining, but let's talk about true facts. So once again, you could pack the lanes at those point in times. Not denying that. But you said he had to shoot fadeaway jump. He shot a lot of fadeaway jump shots. That's a lie. For the reason why that's not accurate is because some fact is you're 7 feet tall. You don't have to dip your shoulder against a guy who's 6'5", 6'6", who's guarding you. You can just finger roll over the top of him. They did implement a rule that you couldn't dunk, but if you're over the rim, you don't need to dunk and touch the rim. You just have to drop the ball in. He did a lot of that. That was what Wilt Chamberlain's game was built on.
Well, he had a 43-inch vertical, which is the same as Vince Carter's, so he would have done that in today's game if he wanted to.
That's not true because there wasn't as many athletic guys as there are in today's NBA's basketball.
There is nobody today that is 7'1" with an 8-foot wingspan jumping 43-inch verticals ever in the history of the game other than Wilt Chamberlain. You're telling me that doesn't translate into any era?
Correct, it does not.
Okay.
Because you got to think about how skinny he was. He was frail.
He was 275. Do you know Joel Embiid is 250 pounds, my man? He was 25 pounds heavier than Joel Embiid.
He was thin, very, very thin. You can look at the small shorts and tell. He wore Daisy Dukes. I'm just saying,
he did.
Like you can't be a good basketball player wearing Daisy Dukes.
Well, that's not his fault. Come on.
You're born at the wrong time. I'm just saying, skill for skill. If you could take Shaquille O'Neal at his best game and put him in any era, and you take Wilt Chamberlain at his best game and put him in any era, it's not going to translate the exact same. Shaq's going to dominate from that era on. It doesn't matter where he's playing at. Even in today's NBA, if you put Shaq in today's game, not only is he going to dominate, he's going to kill every player. They have to create something called the Hack-a-Shaq for him. Make him go through the line and shoot free throws. They never created anything like that for Wilt because the simple fact is, he could throw the ball off the backboard and catch it to himself and make a layup.
They did change a lot of rules for Wilt. They used to have the inbound pass where you could just throw it over the backboard and he would just catch it and throw it down on people. So they stopped that. Okay. Then they took the dunk away.
Okay.
And then they started allowing people to pack the lane like they're sardines. So they tried to do a lot of things to stop Wilt. It just didn't matter.
How many teams were in the NBA back then?
Doesn't matter. I'll go. I can go that argument. So
how many? I just want to know.
Well, I mean, it depends. The beginning of his career, the end of his career. The beginning of his career.
Let's just go his first 10 years. Let's go from 1960 to 1970 or 1969. That's 10 years.
What is it? Was it 12 or 14?
You said it was 8.
I don't think it was 8. That would be a lie.
No, there was 8 teams in the NBA. That's the reason why. Because that's how many championships. Whatchamacallit? When the Celtics won from 60 to 69, there was 8 teams in the Bill Russell. I'm sorry. Yeah. The Celtics won. There was 8 teams in the NBA. They played 60 games.
So you had the top talent in the world. So what you're saying is guys like Jim Paxson, who was playing with Michael Jordan, wouldn't have even made the NBA because he wasn't talented enough. Because they were taking the top talent. That's what you're telling me?
You're talking about John Paxson
John Paxson. Sorry, one of the brothers.
No, he would have made the NBA because at that time he was a taller white guy who could shoot. He was more athletic than those guys back then.
Oh my Lord. Oh.
So are you telling me? Wait. So we've talked about this before. Are you telling me the NBA is just as athletic back then as it is now?
I wouldn't say all the way through, but there are a lot of guys. I mean, I don't know if you've seen video of Bill Russell took a rebound. There's one video I could show you of Bill Russell taking a rebound from one end of the court, literally dribbled offhand down court in about 3.5 seconds and went in for like a deep finger roll. Like, that is athleticism. So that'll bring me to my next point. All right. Do you think Bill Russell was a legit player?
Do I think he was a legit player? For his era, yes.
Yeah, rings aside, all that stuff.
For his era, yes.
Okay. So this is the comparison that I'm going to make, and I'll pretty much leave it at this. But Bill Russell was 6'11". He was the same size as David Robinson. And for all intents and purposes, David Robinson was a very skilled defensive center. He did a lot of things. I'm not knocking David Robinson, obviously a Hall of Famer. He had a quadruple double, almost a quintuple double. He was phenomenal, right? But for all intents and purposes, David Robinson was this era's, or Shaq's era, of Bill Russell, right? Would you agree with that?
No, I would say
defensive. No,
it'd probably be more of a Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay, but you would agree that the major attribute that Bill Russell had was defense, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I look at, I'll just pull up a little bit of numbers here.
Okay.
So Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain played each other a total of 94 times. Now, keep in mind, Wilt Chamberlain was actually older than Bill Russell. So if he was in his prime, Russell was in his prime. If he was out of his prime, Russell was probably close to out of his prime as well. So basically,
you said who was older than who? I'm sorry.
Wilt was about, I think he was 2 years older than Russell, 2 or 3 years.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm positive of that. You can look that up. I'm 100% positive of that. So Wilt was actually older. So for all intents and purposes, they played in their prime together 94 times. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 30 points and 29 rebounds against Bill Russell. Now, if I look at Shaquille O'Neal against David Robinson, keep in mind, David Robinson, I believe, is 7 years older than Shaq. So there was a lot of these meetings where Shaq was probably in his prime and David Robinson wasn't. But let's just say even is even. Shaq averaged a whole 26 points and 12 rebounds.
Okay.
Explain that to me. Okay. If he's so dominant, how does a man never average 30 points a game in his career? And how does, if we take two players that are very comparable, era versus era, one completely dominates and the other one does not?
Okay. So first of all, Wilt Chamberlain was born in 1936.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Russell was born in 1934. Bill Russell's older than Wilt Chamberlain. So that's one of your wrong arguments that's just wrong off one.
Okay, so we're talking 2 years.
2 years? No problem.
Oh, okay.
So Shaq versus David Robinson. David Robinson was a grown man. Shaq was still coming into himself. Averaging 30 points a game doesn't make you great. What did you do to impact the league and impact your team? Wilt Chamberlain was never, ever considered the best player in the NBA. Bill Russell was considered the best player in the NBA at that time. Wilt Chamberlain was never considered the greatest player in the NBA. Shaq was considered the greatest NBA player of all, or greatest NBA player in the league. Wilt Chamberlain was never that. David Robinson was never said the best player in the NBA. He won in one MVP because he hit 2 quadruple doubles back-to-back games. But Shaq, what he did was he made everybody around him better. David Robinson had a better team than Shaq did back then. It was just Shaq by himself with a little bit of help of Kobe when Kobe was young. And you had Tim Duncan. He was on the team. Sonny Elliott was a very, very solid player. Mario Elie was on that team at one point in time. Who else was on them old Spurs teams? Avery Johnson was a very solid player. So the team game, you're talking team aspects when we're talking about individuals. Individual-wise, you would take Shaq over David Robinson. Am I correct?
Oh, 100%. That's not even a debate.
So why would you even argue that point if you would take – you can't argue that point if you say that you wouldn't even take David Robinson over Shaq.
No. My point is if I take two players that are similar type players, and Bill Russell and David Robinson, for their era for era, one player and Wilt Chamberlain far more dominated in his games than Shaquille did individually against David Robinson.
played against lesser players at that time.
I mean, sure. The center for center, though. I mean, if your argument is lesser for player, Wilt Chamberlain technically was a less of a player too, because you're telling me he couldn't play in this era, which means really he was less of a player. So skill for skill versus who he was playing against should be pretty even. And what he did skill for skill with his era versus what Shaq did skill for skill is two different things.
You have children, right?
100% I do.
How old's your oldest child?
5.
5 years old. Could you go and score 100 points against your 5-year-old team, your 5-year-old basketball team?
I would hope so.
That's exactly what Wilt Chamberlain was doing. That's the reason why. He was playing against lesser
but you also said that Wilt couldn't play in Shaq's era. So if that's the case, then how is he such a man against boys?
Because he was playing against lesser talent.
But he was a lesser talent, is your argument.
Yes,
so really,
he was 7 foot tall. He was 7'1". That makes a big difference.
The average center back then, Kelly, was 6'10". It doesn't matter how you slice it. That is facts. You can look that up. I will send you multiple links on that.
No, I'm looking at.
There was 8 total teams.
So there was 8 teams. So I'm looking.
If you said there was 8 teams and there's 8 centers and the average height is 6'10", then I don't understand where the debate is.
So we'll go with this year. Bill Russell was 6'9". Wilt Chamberlain was 7'1". That Halbert guy was 7'3". Daryl Imhoff is 6'10". Ray Felix was 6'11". Wayne Yates was 6'8". Who else is on here? Walter Duke is 7 foot. Walter Bellingham, he's 6'11". These guys aren't. You're talking about. Let me see how many guys on here. And I know this is going to sound racist, but this is a fact. He's playing against 7 or 5 white dudes right there, non-athletic guys.
So you're saying,
but you also just said they were
athletic. Is that what I'm hearing?
100%. I know it sounds racist, but if we're talking about straight stats, the fastest man in the world is a black guy.
I do have a question. I have to chime in.
Okay.
Neither of you are we just totally discrediting Kareem? Is that what we're doing? Like he's not even in the
Kareem's
conversation.
The second greatest center of all time.
So he's second.
He's the second greatest center.
Because everybody, there's arguments that he's number one.
Hell no.
Say that he's not. The reason why I say that I'd give him a more. If he came to me and argued Kareem, I'd give him more of a shot because the fact is his move translates across all years. It translates from beginning of time till now. Nobody could stop. I've never seen anybody block a skyhook. Nobody's ever blocked that shot. So if you brought that one to me, I'd be like, you know what? I can't even argue with you that's apples and apples. Or that's apples and apples. He dominated in a different way than. He dominated in the same way Shaq did, just not with so much bully ball like he's saying. He dominated with finesse. He had a finesse shot, even though he was a big man who could go to the hole and dunk.
All right, I was just curious.
But Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, if he said Kareem, I wouldn't even this conversation wouldn't be happening. The fact that he said Wilt is where we have the argument.
Okay.
You realize that Wilt was 10 years older than Kareem, and they did play against each other, and Wilt did very well, even though he was much older and out of his prime against Kareem. You do realize that, right?
Like you're talking. So, and I don't like to bring championships into this. How many years was Wilt the best player in the NBA? In your
he was probably the best individual player. He's just like LeBron James. The same thing that is happening to LeBron in today's game is the same thing that happened to Wilt back then.
The reason why you can't put him in the same comparison is because Wilt Chamberlain was on a bunch of teams that were supposed to be that great, but he played against a better player in his conference. There was never a time where you said that
the Celtics had 5 starting Hall of Famers. When did that ever happen for Wilt Chamberlain? The only time that he had at least one other Hall of Famer as his running mate, he won the title.
What year was that?
Happened. That was
He's
twice
only won
that he
2
won.
titles.
Exactly, and that was both years that he had a running mate Hall of Famer.
Who was his running mate in LA?
Shoot, I'd have to look it up.
Jerry West.
Right.
And then you had what's his name? Baylor. Elgin Baylor. So he had 3. There was 3 Hall of Famers on that team. They won 1 title.
Okay.
So you're telling me that Wilt Chamberlain was that great that he had 2 other Hall of Famers on his team and he couldn't win a title?
So I guess I guess then to be fair, LeBron only has 3 titles in his running mates compared to the people. How did he lose to Dallas? How did he lose to San Antonio?
Once again, he choked he choked against Dallas.
Okay.
That's the only blemish on his record that you can say. He choked against Dallas. But every other time, the only time he ever lost in the finals was to teams that were much better than his team. If you did a draft of the teams playing against those teams, it would be LeBron's first, like 3 other players from the other team, and then maybe you get somebody from his team on there.
LeBron's clearly been the best player in every finals. There's no argument against that. But the whole point is that Wilt is the same thing.
No, because it would be like, so let's pick the LA team when they won 69 games. It was Wilt Chamberlain playing against, what team did they play in the finals that year? Let me look on this. 1970. Radford, you can jump in on this too, because you know for a fact who the best is.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna say Shaq is the greatest center of all time, and then number 2, I'm gonna put Hakeem Olajuwon. That's my order. But
wow,
I mean, y'all handling it pretty well. I don't even really need to jump in. I'm just gonna go Shaq Diesel.
Yeah. Me and Radford are drinking Capri Suns.
While he's looking that up real quick.
I'm over here sipping a Mountain Cooler.
While he's looking that up, I'm gonna give something for Radford and Matt real quick to get you involved. I'm gonna give you blind players, okay? So player 1 averages 21 points per game, 21 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game. Okay. Player 2 averages 24 points a game, so 3 more points a game, 11 rebounds, which is 10 less rebounds, and 2 assists, which is 3 less assists per game. Are you taking player 1 or player 2?
Player 1. He's averaging.
I'm taking
player 1.
No, player 1's averaging.
You're taking player 2 because
10
you
more
know it's
rebounds.
Shaquille O'Neal based off the stats. Here's the deal.
More active.
Let me tell you why I'm taking player 2. Because player 2 probably has the abilities to get you more points if he really needs to. Player 1 is he's getting his points off of offensive rebounds.
21 rebounds. He also had 5 assists to 2 assists. So he's actually, as far as what points he's bringing to the game, he's actually contributing more.
Who's that? Who's player 1?
So player 1 is Wilt Chamberlain without. Now, I removed the 7 best years of his career where he averaged 39 points, 25 rebounds, and 4 assists. I just act like they never happened. And I took his 7 worst years that he had in the NBA, 2 seasons in which he only averaged 14 and 13 points because he was an old man. And still his numbers are better than Shaquille O'Neal's.
Did you take out
Shaq's years too? He wasn't playing with. I just feel like Wilt don't get that credit because he wasn't playing with that much talent. Shaq was playing against Hall of Fame centers.
That is Shaq's career numbers, 24, 11, and 2. Wilt's career numbers without his 7 best years would still be 21, 21, and 5.
But if you take away Shaq's worst years when he played for Boston when he wasn't that good.
You know what?
Phoenix.
I'll do. Okay, but I took away. Why would I take away his worst years when I'm taking away Wilt's best years? That doesn't make any sense. So I'll do you one better.
You know what? You're right. My fault.
I'll do you one better.
No,
Shaquille O'Neal for his career, in his best season of his career, I'm going to round up because, like I said, he never averaged 30 points per game. It was actually 29.7. But I'll round up since there's the 0.7. 30 points per game, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. That's his best year of his career. If I were to say that how many years did he play? 19, something like that?
He played from 92 to 2011. So 19 years, yeah.
Yeah. So for 19 years, if I said that that's what he did every season, which was 30, 14, and 4, pretty impressive, versus Wilt's career numbers, Wilt still would have better career numbers, 30, 23, and 4.
Yeah, but the rules were different at that time. He could throw the ball.
They were. You're right. Shaq could play bully ball. because here's the thing, Kelly, is let's be subjective. Let's just look at Shaq's career for just a second. And he played against so many great 7-footers I know. Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Patrick Ewing. I can't think of any more great 7-footers he played against, but there was a whole 3 that he played.
Alonzo Mourning. We got to throw Alonzo Mourning
every year. 6 times a year he played those 3. I love it.
No, whoa, you're tripping. He played against.
But for the rest of the time, he was playing 7'7" Sean Bradley and Manute Bol and some of these other shitty guys that he would bully ball and just dunk on. That's how he got his career. So I'm glad that
Chris Webber, who used to
6 games. Chris Webber was 6'9" power forward.
He's 6'10".
A power forward.
Yes, but he played defense against Shaq, and he was a great defender. And what about he played against Hakeem Olajuwon 4 to 6 times a year? He played against Dave Robinson 4 to 6 times a year. From 1996 until he left the Western Conference, he played against those teams.
And Olajuwon in '96 was what? How old was Olajuwon and David Robinson?
Well, he just came off of winning back-to-back championships.
But
That's what
how
I'm
old
saying.
was he?
He was 34.
30. Okay, 34 years old.
Well,
And
we
David
don't know how old he
Robinson-
is because the part of Africa he was from, they didn't keep good records.
33.
He
David
could've been
Robinson
100.
was. So
So I don't think we're gonna come. I don't think we're gonna come to a conclusion on this. So
Oh, Lord.
I don't think so either. Kelly, I do have to say, look, regardless of what we believe on this, obviously I'm not changing my mind. You're not changing yours, but I think you have some very good points. It was fun chatting with you, and I appreciate you taking the time to not only post on Facebook, but to get our attention enough to bring you onto the podcast. I really appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you, sir. And you have the right to be wrong as much as you want. But next
Fair
time,
enough.
bring Kareem Abdul-Jabbar into this.
All righty.
All right, guys. You guys take it easy.
All right, man.
Be easy.
all right, that was a lot of fun. I don't know what you guys thought, but that was crazy. So
It was. They was at each other's neck.
Naylor dug in though. I was proud of you. So
Look, I believe that he is by far the best center of all time. And obviously Kelly thought the same thing about Shaquille O'Neal, and it was fun. I love having those debates. I know that it's never going to end in somebody's mind changing. So, but it's still fun to have the debates. And look, I learned a thing or two, and hopefully he did as well. But yeah, make your own decision out there, make your own opinion. But I think this is something that we want to start doing on a more regular basis. You think so, guys?
yeah,
For sure.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, I mean, we do those Facebook polls and just questions. So, look, if you want to get on the podcast, you think you can hold your own the way that Kelly did, 100%. We'd love to have you be a part of a future topic.
Yeah,
So,
hit us up. And then before we close, definitely would ask the listeners to go on iTunes, hit subscribe, leave us a review. The more reviews we get, the better we are off in iTunes, and more people can find us and more people can listen. And we appreciate every download. So, Jesse, if you want to kick us out, that'd be great.
Hold on
right.
real quick.
Yeah.
Go Lions.
Oh,
ahead,
my
Naylor.
gosh. Okay.
Of course. Perfect. All right. Well, now that we all agree that Wilt is the best center of all time, he is at Rad1_TOS. He is at Matt_TOS. I am at JNay_TOS. You can find us on Facebook at Triple Option Sports. You can find us on Instagram at Triple Option Sports Podcast. And you can also find us on YouTube, Triple Option Sports. For the weekend, we obviously have Easter coming up, so everybody have a great Easter. But big implication in the playoff standings here. We've got the Pelicans versus the Thunder. This has got some seeding implications written all over it, so definitely a game to watch. And, of course, we have the wrap-up of the Final Four and then the NCAA tournament as a whole. So enjoy your weekend, and we will be back at you next week.